It's our Newcastle United commentary duo of Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi,
hey,
Colin. Well, we're not really sure how this is going to go. That's something we've just been discussing. We can't call it at the moment. Brighton had a bad defeat last weekend despite dominating against West Ham, and Newcastle have lost their last two, and they don't normally play well here or do particularly well against Brighton, so it's interesting.
It is, and I mean, all the euphoria of the Champions League draw on Thursday, and obviously Newcastle fans not particularly fussed by the transfer window closing yesterday. The times and dates of the Champions League fixtures confirmed this morning, which kind of extends the excitement about it all. But for all of that, Newcastle could do without going into the international break on the back of 3 defeats in a row.
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, the last thing you want to do, Colin, is go into an international break on the back of 3 consecutive defeats. Because you've got to stew on it for that length of time before you've got your next league game coming up, and then almost immediately after that, you've then got a Champions League game. So you would want to win here today. It's a big game for both sides, because they'll both want to bounce back. As Razor's already said, disappointing here for Brighton the last day against West Ham, and of course us against Liverpool. You're a goal up with 10 minutes to go and ended up losing it, so that was disappointing as well. So both sides will be looking to bounce back today.
I'm sure every PA announcer around the country just waits until we're on air before they practice their system tests. But anyway,
absolutely.
Just one for you, Razor, as well, because a couple of players went off injured, one looking a little bit more serious than the other last time out against Liverpool, Sven Botman and Joey Linton. But I guess there is actually a chance we could see both of them back today.
Yes, Eddie Howe says there's a small possibility that Botman will play. That would appear to be a surprise given how much pain he seemed to be in last weekend. But until we know for certain, you can't really discount him. And Joe Linton, well, he hasn't done much training this week either, but Eddie Howe said he was feeling better towards the weekend. So we'll see. I wonder anyway, Colin, if you'd be tempted to make 1 or 2 changes in any case, whether they are the enforced ones or possibly more beyond that, just to try and get a reaction in terms of a result. But we'll get the team at 4:30, an hour before kickoff, and we'll update you during the second half of the South Shields match.
Please do. Matthew Raisbeck, John Anderson, thank you very much to both of you for the moment. We will be back down at the Amex from around about 5 o'clock. The kickoff is at 5:30.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
There's a lot of talk about the Champions League, but it sort of wasn't not real. But we didn't know who we were playing, we didn't know what group we were in, and so there's a lot of unknowns. Now we have a target in mind, we have the games in mind, and that starts to then bring you to visualise it really. And I think that can only be a healthy thing. But for us, I know I'm going to sort of dampen it down, but the Premier League is huge for us, and we still have games before the Champions League starts. So the Champions League really only come into my focus when it's our next game. For me now it's all about Brighton, and then of course
Maybe the dream draw, maybe the group of death. Either way, they've got it all to come in a few weeks. Right now, they need Premier League points after back-to-back defeats against 2 of the top sides. Today they face another in Brighton, who began the season with consecutive victories but suffered a setback themselves last weekend here against West Ham. And Eddie Howe, Newcastle United's boss, is without Sven Botman because of the ankle injury that forced him off against Liverpool. Botman misses out entirely. His place in the 11 goes to Matt Targett, who'll slot in at left back with Dan Burn against his old side, moving into a central defensive position. Joe Linton has overcome a knee issue and is fit to start in midfield. And there is a place on the bench for one of their summer signings, Lewis Hall, the last of the senior players to arrive before the transfer deadline last night. He is in a Newcastle matchday squad for the first time. It's Pope, Trippier, Cher, Burn and Targett, Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton, Almiron and Gordon at either side of Isak up front. That's how Newcastle United look, with a bench of Dubravka, Lascelles, Wilson, Barnes, Hall, Livramento, Murphy, Anderson and Longstaff. The sun is shining here on the south coast. We are about 3 or 4 miles away from Brighton Beach at the Amex Stadium, as Newcastle away to our right in front of the away end get themselves prepared for the match. Looks like they're going to be wearing the green away kit for this one. They are certainly warming up in green training wear. And John Anderson, Botman is going to be a big miss because he's such an important player for them, and Eddie Howe likes to do things like for like, as we see with his substitutions. So rather than bring in a right-sided centre-half in Lascelles and play him with Cher, rather than bringing in a right-back in Livramento and moving Trippier across, he's gone for one change, target where he likes to play, and burn inside, which is his preferred position.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, you know, there's too many changes. He's bringing a left-sided centre-back in for a left-sided centre-back, and he's playing an out-and-out left-back at left-back. Makes perfect sense. You know, he could have brought Lascelles in, but he's not naturally left-sided. So Dan Bourne, I presume, would sooner play at centre-back, even though he's done a great job at left-back. His natural position is being in centre-back. Target has found game time difficult to come by with the form of Dan Bourne at left-back, but he gets his opportunity here tonight, and good to see Lewis Hall find a place on the bench. Hasn't had a lot of football. Probably would have been a little bit unfair to throw him straight in at the deep end, because, as I say, he hasn't played any football whatsoever. Didn't get any pre-season games under his belt either, so he's still finding his fitness. So yeah, the one change, and the loss of Botman is a blow, because he's been excellent. He really has been excellent for us, but the injury that he picked up hasn't healed sufficiently for him to figure tonight. So you just hope that it's nothing too serious. And fortunately, after this, we've got an international break. Be interesting to see if he's going to be named in that Dutch squad and whether he's allowed to go away or not. So we'll wait and see.
5:30 kick-off at the Amex Stadium. Newcastle then with Target at left back. How will that change the way they play on that side, if at all?
Probably give you a little bit more going forward. You know, he's, as I say, he's a natural left back Target. That's his natural position. He likes to get forward, he likes to join in, so you get a little bit more of an outlet on that left hand side. You know, he will play in more advanced positions than Dan Bourne has, so you would hope that it works better on that left side. We relied quite heavily on the right side, with Trippier getting forward into advanced positions. Him and Almiron on that right hand side. Gordon has been excellent since coming in. You know, he was great again last week. Excellent against Villa. Got himself a goal last week as well. So you hope that Target and Gordon on that left hand side can link up and give us a little bit more.
And Joe Linton plays, which might be a bit of a surprise, because Eddie Howe said that he hadn't trained all week, apart from some light jogging, although he was feeling better by the end of the week, by yesterday when the manager spoke to the media. But it means the likes of Elliot Anderson, who is knocking on the door, still has to wait for a first start. And going back to what Eddie Howe said after the Aston Villa match at the beginning of the season, he had Tonali or Longstaff for the right side of central midfield, and Joelinton or Anderson as his two options really for the left. So Elliot Anderson might well have been feeling as though he had a chance to play, but he's going to have to sit this one out as a substitute, at least until he's called on perhaps later in the match. And he'll be probably a little bit frustrated and a bit disappointed, because this could have been his opportunity.
Well, we were led to believe that the team that was named this morning, Anderson was in it. Joe Linton was out. He's obviously had a change of heart, Eddie Howe. Anderson will feel it. Yeah, look, you know, the boy had an excellent pre-season. He's done okay in the games that he's come on. He's looked lively. He gives you a little bit of something extra. But his time will come. There's no doubt about it. You know, I think he's shown that he's got the quality. He's been named in Scotland squad. His confidence will be sky high with that. You know, but you're right, he will be frustrated because he wants to play. Everybody wants to play, but he's still only a young boy, and as I say, he will get plenty of game time.
Newcastle then with Targett for Botman as the only change. Brighton with 3 changes from the team that suffered a 3-1 defeat last Saturday tea time in this slot by West Ham, and they were beaten by West Ham. Brighton, despite having almost 80% of the ball, they had 25 shots, 17 corners, so you can be dominant, Ando, in that sense when it comes to statistics, but you can still lose the game, which is ultimately what matters.
One statistic that matters.
Yeah.
At the end of 90-odd minutes, have you scored more goals than the opposition? That's the only stat that matters.
And we've seen Brighton play that way over the last few years, in particular under Roberto De Zerbi since he came in last season, and Graham Potter before him. Newcastle haven't always found it easy here in particular to play against them and to even play well. They've tended to lose, or in the case last season it was a 0-0 draw. They were really fortunate to have Nick Pope in fine form that day, making a number of really good saves. When they go about things in that manner, Brighton, no matter how good you may be as an opposing team, it's got to be awkward to play against. I mean, they do, it's almost like they try and wear you down. It's playing it across the back, picking their moment, a lot of patience, and that's why they tend to have those statistics of really, you know, really dominant when it comes to the percentages of possession.
Yeah, look at they're a passing side. You know, they like to get the ball, they like to pass it around. They play a high line, which could play into our hands, I feel, tonight, because of the pace that we've got in those wide areas. If they play that high line, we could get in behind them and cause them real problems. But you would expect Brighton to have most of the ball. You know, the way that they play, they dominate the ball. They pass it well, pass and move, little triangles. But you've then got to take advantage of that. You know, there's got to be an end product to it. You've got to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's something they weren't able to do against West Ham, even though they controlled the game. You would say that West Ham probably got that game plan spot on. You know, they came here, they sat behind, they looked to hit Brighton on the break. That's exactly what they've done. I'm sure Eddie Howe and his staff will have looked at the videos of those games, seen what West Ham did well, and probably look to do exactly the same here again this evening.
The 3 Brighton changes. Joel Veltman comes in at right back. Jan-Paul van Hekke, central defender, 23 years of age, but a relative newcomer to their first team squad. He actually played at St James's Park in May. He's in at centre back. And João Pedro, their record signing, 30 million from Watford in June, is also into the team, as Brighton present 2 of their new signings to the home fans, not able to play any part in the match, so they're not going to affect things on the pitch today. But they made a very eye-catching signing yesterday, getting Ansu Fati, who's one of the most promising young players in Europe, loan signing from Barcelona, and he's out there on the pitch. They're posing for some photographs. It's probably a good thing that he's not playing, because he's obviously a really good talent. Carlos Baleba is the other Brighton new signing. They've invested in their squad. They have lost players, but they've tried to replace them with 2 exciting names from the summer transfer window that I think we're all glad is now closed. I've tried to do the Brighton team a few times and been distracted, so I'll go through it in detail now, and then we'll hear a bit more from Ando, and we'll do the Newcastle team again, and then we'll hear from Eddie Howe. Their goalkeeper is Bart Verbruggen, who's a Dutch under-21 international, 6'4", came in for his debut last weekend. That means Jason Steele, the former Sunderland keeper, is on the bench. And then Joel Veltman, Jan-Paul van Hekke, Lewis Dunk and Pervis Estupinian, the back four, with Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore in the middle of midfield. Solly March, who has 3 goals already this season, João Pedro and the brilliant Karu Mitoma behind Evan Ferguson, the 18-year-old Irish striker. And the Brighton bench, Jason Steele, Tariq Lamptey, Igor Julio, Adam Webster, James Milner, Mahmoud Dahoud, Adam Lallana, Simon Adingra and Facundo Buonanotte. Those 2 signings that they've just presented, Ando, to the crowd are evidence of the progress that Brighton have made. They're in Europe this season for the first time in their history. They were enjoying a brilliant campaign last year, like Newcastle, and they seem to be a really well-run club from the outside looking in, and could well be there to stay, certainly in the top part of the Premier League.
Yeah, you would have to give credit to Brighton for their recruitment over the years. You know, you look at what they bought, and then what they've sold on. You know, they've made an awful lot of money in this transfer window alone with the players that they've sold on to Chelsea. One of them for £115 million. You know, so they've brought a lot of finance into the club, but their recruitment has been decent. You know, they bring a lot of young boys in, younger players. The setup is obviously good. Their coaching is obviously good, because these players come in, that they make them better. But you can't keep doing that. You know, if you want to progress, if you want to move on, you can't keep selling your better players. You know, you've got to all of a sudden look at it and say, well, these are the players we're going to build a side around. You know, if we want to be really successful, these players stay here and we go on and we build around them. But yeah, from the outside looking in, it looks like it's a club that's really, really well run.
Newcastle, Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Byrne and Targett, who replaces Botman in the only change. Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, Almiron, Gordon and Isak. It was a quiet end then to the transfer window, and the signing of Lewis Hall, who's on the bench today, was Newcastle's 5th and final piece of business at first team level this summer. Eddie Howe had predicted that it would be the most difficult window since the takeover, but he thinks they've come out of it quite well.
Yeah, it was a tough window. I've said that many times during the summer. It was very, very difficult to get things moving. Market was very slow. Teams didn't want to sell their players. I think that did change towards the end of the window. I've seen a little bit more movement, but no, it was a tough window. The pond is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The same players are sort of on everyone's lips at the same club, so then it's about choosing the right ones for you and trying to get deals done, and I think we've done well in both, hopefully. There were some obvious gaps in our squad that needed filling, and then of course we lost Maxi and had to replace that position. So I think certain things, I think for me the positions have been what they were. Then yeah, we're always looking with an eye to, if you get an injury in one position, how strong are we going to be able to deal with that injury. I think we're better placed now than we were last year, and I think there's real competition for places, but that's with a fully fit squad. So we're always at the same time, like every squad in the Premier League, vulnerable to injuries.
It was an agonising way to lose last weekend. What sort of week have you had as you try to process it and also look forwards to Brighton and prepare for another big one on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was painful. There's no denying that, for me, for the team, for everybody connected with Newcastle. That was a sort of bittersweet game, really, because I thought we played really, really well for definitely the majority of the first half. Really, the second half was tough, although there was good bits in it. And I think the usual process for me, I have to watch the game very, very quickly. I have to try and find the things that I'm looking for, and then you always, in football, you have to move on very quickly because the games come thick and fast, and if you dwell in any result for too long, it can never be a good thing, whether that's a win or a loss. So move on and look to the future.
And Brighton was so impressive last season, a clear style of play and seemingly very difficult for a lot of teams to play against. What are you expecting from them this weekend?
Yeah, I think they're a very interesting team. I think Roberto's done a an amazing job. He's a very unique coach in the way that he gets his teams to play. Not many or any coaches I've seen sort of like him, and the style of play is very good. Very ball dominated, very clever with how they set their teams up, and yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. His players deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, for what they achieved last year, and they've started this season well.
Total Sport North East.
The sound of
Newcastle United.
There really is nowhere else like it. Back through for Miguel Almiron, big chance, goal! Oh, what a goal! On the volley, brilliant goal! Alan San-Maxima right at the end of the 90. Plays in Wilson, takes the touch, Callum Wilson has scored!
Great sport kicks off here.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Here are the two teams, and the Brighton fans all on their feet, clapping in time. The 3,000 away supporters to our right-hand side look like they're enjoying themselves. They may have experienced some difficulties with their journey from the northeast to the south coast, but they're here hoping to see their team get a second win of the season, and if they were to win today, they would end up with 6 points from 4 matches, which would match their tally from that stage of last season when they won the first game and then drew the next 3. Brighton players now shake hands with their Newcastle visitors, and the team of officials led by Stuart Atwell from Warwickshire. Last time he refereed a Newcastle fixture was the home win over Manchester United in April. And he's wearing a bright orange shirt, black shorts and socks, as are his assistants Konstantin Hatzidakis and James Mannering. Craig Pawson, 4th official. Darren Bond is the video assistant referee. Newcastle in the green away kit, white shorts and white socks for the outfield boys. Pope in luminous yellow, running towards the goal and applauding the travelling fans. He was superb here last season in keeping a clean sheet. And Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn and Matt Targett, who made only 8 starts last season, came on with 3 minutes to go last weekend against Liverpool. Targett, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, Miguel Almiron, Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak, who got the 2 goals against Villa, but it's only the only time in his last 10 Premier League outings, Isak, that he has found the net. That's obviously across this season and last season, whereas Callum Wilson's goals record, often from the bench, is a lot better in terms of recent appearances. The bench: Dubravka, Lascelles, Wilson, Barnes, Hall, Livramento, Murphy, Anderson, Longstaff, and Brighton, blue and white stripes, blue shorts and socks, and Verbruggen, the goalkeeper, wearing all black but with white gloves and white boots. Right back, Veltman, Van Hecke and Dunk, the centre halves. Estepinian, Eddie Howe with his hands in his pockets, all in black, as Nick Pope goes long, looking for Joelinton. I don't think Joelinton or Gordon have touched the ball yet on Newcastle's left. Everything they've done has come down this right side. Isak now, that could be a mistake. He's got it, edge of the area. Dunk with him, and Van Hecke doubling up, makes an important interception, and then a clearance, and Burn with a foul on Ferguson. No yellow card. Around him, laid off to Schär, edge of Newcastle's box. Nice little ball to Tonali, who gave him an angle into Bruno. Good possession for Newcastle, trying to play forwards now. Bruno has a look, and the pass is straight to Van Hecke, who gives it to his goalkeeper, and the home side can build from the back. Dunk, squeeze back to Verbruggen. Van Hecke's got it now, and Verbruggen again.
Go on, squeeze, push on.
Dunk left side of the penalty area. Estepinian out wide. Newcastle backing off as Dunk brings it forwards into the middle of Brighton's half. Still no goals on BBC Radio Newcastle. And then he rolls it back to the goalkeeper.
I think we can be braver with the squeeze, you know.
Well, they're dropping Newcastle as Brighton carry it, and then it's played into the United half from Van Hecke. Right wing march into João Pedro. And the 21-year-old Brazilian, previously a target of Newcastle's in the transfer market. Gilmour into the box. Chance here for Ferguson. Took a touch, but not a lot of power in the shot, and Pope makes an easy save at the near post.
Probably should have hit it first time. Good little run, good little ball threaded through. Touch took him away from goal. Got nothing on the shot.
Pope to Share, and then across the penalty box to Byrne. Target closed down by March as he receives it. High ball down the left wing. And Van Hecke on his chest, and then taken inside away from Isak. Dunk with his bright red boots rolls the ball inside to Van Hecke. Isak standing between the two centre-halves. It's rolled short to Gilmour and then given back to Van Hecke behind the centre circle. Gilmour again, Bruno with him. Bruno closes down, Newcastle push up a bit. Brighton go back to the goalkeeper. Van Hecke comes to get it and walks forwards into a midfield position, then plays it back to Dunk. It's slow out from the back, isn't it? But obviously they increase the tempo when they get
but they take chances. They'll give you a chance if you're brave enough to go and squeeze.
There's a ball, one back by Gordon, but can he get a second touch? Yes, he's done really well, Gordon, to hold off his man. Inside to Joelinton. Beats João Pedro to the ball, passes it to Almiron, back to Joelinton. Trippier available, just in front of halfway. Through for Joelinton on the stretch, can't get there. Brighton clearance is picked up by Share, and he's pushed it out to Tonali. Went first time to Almiron. It was blocked, but he gets it to the Paraguayan a second time. Almiron into the box with his right, deflected! And Verbruggen had to get down by his near post to push it behind because it was creeping in.
Oh, it was creeping in as well. This time he does cross it with his right foot. Just runs a Dunk, who doesn't get tight enough to him in the first place. Comes off Dunk. Keeper does well to get something on it and push it around his near post.
He was looking for someone in the middle with the right-footed ball, Almiron, and Dunk's deflection. Verbruggen's save. Trippier's corner now 0-0. Out swinger flat to the edge of the box, and Solly March,
not too sure what that
on
was.
The slide, has diverted it to Pervis Estepinian, and the counter-attack is on. Newcastle got bodies back, but here goes Mitoma just outside the area onto his right, blocked by Trippier, who threw himself at the shot.
Not too sure what that was though, that corner kick.
Overarm throw from Pope after the Trippier block following the Brighton break. And Newcastle back with it. Trippier and Share involved in the play. Tonali's picked up a useful position on halfway. Had space. Brighton players around him, but was able to lay it off. And then it goes back to Bruno, and it's a misplaced ball, which Brighton move to João Pedro into the box. It's a good run. He's gone down. Referee is having a good look at it. Play on. Newcastle win it back. Almiron to Bruno, slides, gets up. Brighton want handball. Bruno's come away with it. Now Anthony Gordon, Isak to the right. Here they go. Brighton not happy. Newcastle attacking. Alexander Isak, space for the shot. Cuts it back, but it's behind Gordon, who'd made the run to the back stick in the 6-yard box. And it's brought clear.
Chance again, wasn't it? Dunk, a centre-back who doesn't want to mark anybody. He doesn't want to get close to people. He stood off Isak again.
There were a few moments of interest before Newcastle got in.
Referee did well, actually.
Yeah, he had a look. I thought he was going to blow for something when João Pedro went down. It seemed shoulder to shoulder. And then there was something in the midfield a couple of times with Bruno. I think
it looked like handball.
For handball against Bruno, so it may have been brought back anyway. But then Isak did well to get around the defender and find the angle and the room for the shot, but went for the cutback, which maybe Gordon wasn't expecting. There was no one else in the attack. This is Mitoma for Brighton. A block by Trippier, and the ball has trickled behind for a corner.
Good game. It's an interesting game. It's great at the pullback, isn't it? Into a great area. You need somebody arriving. You need a midfield player arriving in there.
You might say it's the one thing that they don't have, a midfield player who's just gets on the end of things like that and scores goals from those positions. No criticism of Isak, but involved in 3 big Newcastle opportunities. Almiron with another, pushed behind, 0-0. 19 minutes on the clock. Brighton corner. Pascal Gross to the back post, headed across the box. Mitoma looking for it. It's come to March in the area, and now Gross again. Back to March, further out wide, hangs up across, which Dunk chases after and keeps in on the stretch, far side of the pitch. Played into midfield now to Gross, who's been on the move and popping up in the middle. Joel Veltman's got it, the full-back. And we're playing on with Brighton in possession, but not a lot of pace about it. Gilmour on, Joelinton intercepts. They can go quickly here, Newcastle. Bruno carries it, tries to stretch it around Van Hecke for Isak, and does. Who's got it on the left side of the attack, 25 yards out. Lovely feet from Isak. Another good shift to find a bit of space and play the pass to Joelinton. Gordon on the touchline, into Bruno. They're playing with it in Brighton's half. Back they come to share in the centre circle. It's had to go to the goalkeeper. Nothing on up ahead down the right. Tonali, halfway line. On the outside to Trippier. Back down the line to Cher. Lifted up and out. Tonali was the player down the line. Kieran Trippier's just shouts it to him, telling him to move infield a bit.
Yeah, he likes to drift, doesn't he?
BBC Radio Newcastle, still no goals, but you've enjoyed it, haven't you, John Anderson?
Well, instead of enjoyed it, it's been far too stretchy, far too open. Great for
the TV
audience,
worldwide audience. Mitoma, edge of Newcastle's box now into the area. The cut back straight to Tonali, thankfully for those in Newcastle green today. Ball retrieved by Dunk on the left side of the Newcastle half, near to halfway.
This will end up back with the keeper.
Well, it's with Van Hecke on halfway. And Gilmour, and now Veltman back into their own half to Van Hecke. Will it go? Will it be Verbruggen? Van Hecke's gone into Newcastle's half, and then he's played it short to Gilmour, through a gap to Gross. They've got plenty of bodies back. Brighton push up. Only Isak stayed up near the centre circle. 25 yards out on the right wing, the home team. And it's Veltman down the line. And March, target ended up on the floor, but then wins it back and should get a free kick there for the challenge on from Solly March on Matt Target. They high five right in front of the assistant referee. Newcastle free kick. I was speaking to a member of the media who covers Brighton, and they were talking about the change at right back with James Milner being on the bench, and Milner now 37 years of age. They said he's just rested more than anything. But Veltman hasn't looked fit, and they said if Gordon is sharp and lively, which he has been this season, then Newcastle could find a lot of joy down that side. But it's interesting that he hasn't had the chance to run yet.
No,
he's barely been involved, and most of their plays come down this right side. Couple of challenges in midfield. Gordon late on Van Hecker. Referee's walking across to Anthony Gordon. And
I'm pleased he pulled that back.
Walked away.
Yeah, I'm pleased they pulled it back because he had a break.
Gordon walked away. Referee's going to book him. Yellow card. He apologises to Van Hecker, who cleared the ball away right-footed, and he stood on the top of his foot.
Yeah, in the modern game, that's a yellow card, isn't it?
It's in the middle of the Brighton half of the pitch. Eddie Howe is still out there on his own. Strange seeing him without Jason Tindall, who is a little bit further back. On the Newcastle bench, Brighton play it up to Mitoma, round the corner to Ferguson, who's in a deeper position. He's used it well. Sprayed out to the right wing, then they come back infield. Gilmour across to the left, and Almiron close to pinching it, but Estepinian was waiting for the ball to come to him, and it just reached. Now from halfway back to the keeper. This is now becoming, it's similar to last season and many other times that Newcastle have been here and played Brighton, with the way that they have possession. I'll try and find the percentages for possession. Despite those early chances, flag up against March from a diagonal ball to the Brighton right wing. Newcastle free kick. Early chances for Isak and the one for Almiron. The ball belonging to Brighton, really. This is BBC Radio Newcastle, live at the Amex Stadium. Joe Linton felt he was impeded, but Gordon's made a run beyond and got there, near to the corner, on the left. Isak in the box, Tonali as well. Still out wide with it, Newcastle. Joe Linton plays it short to Bruno, 30 yards from the goal, and back to Cher in the centre circle. Trippier has it, but he can't go forwards. Mitoma blocking that path to goal. Cher, Joe Linton into the area, on his chest, and there's three defenders around him, and between them they get it back to Verbruggen.
Yeah, good run, good ball. Just couldn't take it, could he? Squeeze!
It's around Isak, closed down the keeper, Van Hecker. João Pedro, Cher with him, he's followed him in. Fabian Cher, but
did well, didn't he?
Former Watford man holds the ball, holds off the Newcastle challenge, and drops it off at the feet of a teammate. A dunk forwards, long ball, bit of a hit and hope by Brighton standards. Pope leaves his area. And a flat goal kick. He's got to get back in between his posts. Estepinian around Trippier. Post back in goal. It's played through for Mitoma, and Pope with a save with his foot. And now out to Gilmour, who drives it. Pope spills, and it's in from Ferguson. And Newcastle with an initial mistake that they never quite recovered from, and Pope involved with a clearance and then a couple of saves, but Ferguson there onto the rebound, and after 27 minutes Brighton and Hove Albion lead by a goal to nil.
It's a combination. It's just a real poor clearance from Pope, the first one. Take it in, little save with his foot, and then he makes the save again. Bounces off his chest. Should he be holding that? I know it's well hit, but it's straight at him. It's in his midriff. It bounces off him. Ferguson following in, knocks it into an empty net. Should be holding that.
A couple of things in that. I said it was a bit of a Brighton hit and hope. Pope wanted it to run behind for a goal kick, but Mitoma didn't give it up, and he was forced to play it. And then after the initial save, Tonali stuck out a boot to try and flick the ball on, and missed it completely at the edge of the area, which allowed Gilmour to get his shot away, and Newcastle have to come from behind. Joe Linton doing well. Now Isak. Want to see more from him and from Gordon, who's on it, edge of the area. Gordon. Joe Linton beats his man. Joe Linton's dragged it just wide. It could have been an immediate response. Left-footed from Joe Linton after breaking into the area, narrowly wide of the goal.
You want to see him do more of that. You want to see him break into those penalty areas. Good little ball, well played, Gordon. Just gets there. It's unlucky.
It's one of those that's actually going further away from the goal the more it travels. But it's another chance, and they've had the chances, Newcastle. Ferguson's beaten Byrne to the ball. Mitoma up ahead. Brighton on the search for a second. Mitoma, João Pedro. João Pedro over the top.
Dan Burns all over the place. He's getting dragged everywhere.
Eddie Howe is pacing around the technical area, staring at the floor. He looks absolutely livid. Now he turns to the pitch, and there's instructions in the direction of Joe Linton. Back-to-back defeats, and now 1-0 down inside half an hour here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Joe Linton being held by a player. Now he could have been caught from an aerial challenge. Referee let the game go. Joe Linton's flat on his back. Now he's picked himself up. It seems to be
nothing wrong with the challenge.
His left ear or the side of his head.
Two of them went for it.
Eddie Howe's gone back to the bench. Jason Tindall is on his feet.
Van Heck is a big lad. Joe Linton's a big lad. They both goal kick. They both went for it. It's all right.
Ball is in Newcastle's half. Referee will give it to Brighton. He's just sorting it out. Veltman plays it backwards, and Gross to Gilmour under pressure from Tonali. Back to Dunk, who didn't get there initially, had to stretch and had enough space and room to get a second touch. He's given it to his keeper, Isak, close by. Long ball. Byrne rises, heads it back, but
oh, he's a lucky boy.
March could have been in. It's pulled back for a foul on Byrne by March.
Yeah. I'd like to see it again.
Another match without a clean sheet. 2 in their last 22, including this one. Something in the second part of last season that wasn't there like it was in the first. The clean sheets. Trippier onto Joe Linton. March back to Dunk, though. Joe Linton, good win. Oh,
yeah.
Free kick for Brighton. Newcastle not too happy, and Eddie Howe quite annoyed, and Jason Tindall straight to the fourth official after Joe Linton's challenge was deemed an illegal one. Mitoma into the area, tried to curl it into the far corner. Big deflection on the shot. Still on the attack though. 1-0 up the home team. A lot of folded arms in the away end. A lot of fans leaning on the advertising board at the front of the stand. Good weather, t-shirts, some of them with their tops off, but their team 1-0 down. Gilmour, centre circle to João Pedro, and out to Dunk. Estepinian, middle of Newcastle's half, back to Dunk, just ahead of halfway. It's a high ball to the far side, trying to drop it in behind target, headed inside by Brighton, then Byrne away. Bruno beaten to the ball, 10 yards outside the area. Gross, good feet. Mitoma towards Estepinian, cut out by Trippier, taken wide by Almiron, and then played inside by Almiron. Bruno shifts it back to Almiron, down the line backwards to Trippier in the corner, lifted up, and Isak slips, can't get there. Header from Van Hecke, out for a United throw. Tonali, quick one to the feet of Isak. No messing around. Isak's taking it inside and then back out wide to Tonali. They could be in. Tonali into the area. Good ball looking for Gordon, who just couldn't get a touch. Target's kept it in. Back down the line they go. Bruno, close to the penalty area. He's going to have to come in, Bruno, from the left. Tonali pushes it back to Cher. Keeps Newcastle on the attack. Almiron looking for Tonali, intercepted. Cher had gone up ahead of the ball as Brighton come forwards, but João Pedro didn't have any support and goes wide and then backwards. And it's with Van Hecke, players back in their positions for both teams. Brighton with the ball at the back, which is where they're going to start from again. Giving it to the keeper. Gross involved this time. Cher with a foul on Ferguson from behind. In the middle part of the pitch. 11 minutes until half-time. Dunk looking to get Mitoma in behind Trippier. It bounces up, Pope catches. Tonali's cross for Gordon's run, just couldn't connect, but
no.
The right
but he's
ball.
the only one in there.
Yeah, on a few occasions. Brighton short from the back. Dunk to João Pedro, who's dropped in again to get it. Cher didn't follow all the way that time. Brighton get a bit lucky. Gilmore's pass deflects off Almiron into midfield, then forwards with it, and Pope takes it back into his area and picks it up.
I tell you what, they don't half take chances. Oh.
Burn to Joelinton. Bruno turns and comes inside. Cher close to the D. Left-footed pass to Trippier. Almiron down the line. Inside from Trippier to Bruno. He's having his shirt pulled. He's appealing for a free kick. Well, eventually the whistle comes. There's Billy
there was
Gilmore,
no need to
Pascal Gross.
Yeah, there was no need to. He's going back towards his own goal.
th minute, Newcastle 1-0 down. Trippier just touches it inside to Cher, back to Trippier, edge of the penalty box. Isak comes deep and then receives it on the half turn, outside of the right boot. A good pass to Target. Now they've got numbers in this attack. Gordon with Target for support, 2 or 3 in the middle. It's given to Gordon and the cross comes in. It's too high for Joelinton, and Almiron was waiting for it at the edge of the area from the header away, but Mitoma nipped in and got there first. And a clearance towards João Pedro, but Fabian Cher for United. Bruno to Trippier, thinking about sticking one into the middle. It's gone instead to Bruno, slotted it through for Tonali. Tonali forced away from goal. Now it's Isak. Didn't really get much power in the shot. Tonali's got it again into the area and cleared. Pope comes to halfway to pass it short to Cher. And Trippier gets it off him, the other side of the halfway line. Tonali back to Trippier. Foul from behind from Estepinian. Tonali let out a huge yelp.
It wasn't that bad.
As it came in from the back of his left foot.
It's right in front of us. It's just wrapped the foot around him.
Stuart Atwell's blown for the free kick. And it is 30 to 35 yards from the goal. 10 yards in from the right touchline. Trippier moving the ball around. Now they have players near to the edge of the D, both Newcastle and Brighton. Target is hanging back, everybody else forwards. Trippier with the ball for Bruggen comes.
That's poor. That is poor.
Needed it to bend and swing back away from the goal. Goalkeeper puts the ball down, passes it to his left, to Dunk. Cher with a foul on João Pedro, holding him back.
Do it well, don't they?
Final 5 minutes of the first half. Harvey Barnes sent for a jog. Brighton have a 1-0 lead. Verbruggen kicks it long through the middle. Mitoma running after it. He's barged into Trippier, and the whistle has gone.
He's been poor, Mitoma. His decision making's been poor. Just keeps drifting in off this left side, trying to get shots away, doesn't he?
Cher's going to take the free kick in front of the Newcastle box. Almiron in a central position with the first time pass to Bruno, and it's scooped out wide to Target, over halfway to Gordon, back to Target. And Gordon again, and Target again. And now they come infield to Byrne. Across to Cher. Ooh, off João Pedro. Bruno's got it. Holds off Gross. Takes a tumble, Bruno, but he played it back to Pope. And the goalkeeper's ball is forwards to Cher. Trippier inside to Bruno. Tonali close by, but it's all a bit tight. Tonali's pass inside off the outside of his right boot is intercepted by Brighton, who almost lose it. Joe Linton very close to pinching it back. I think it nicked off him, but it's the Seagulls who have possession. Bruno, I think he's looked sharper today, Bruno Guimaraes in midfield. Certainly had more involvement. Verbruggen to the left boot of Estupiñán, tight to the touchline. This is Mitoma away from Trippier. Then a challenge from Trippier to push the ball inside. But Gilmour tidies up for Brighton. And then he gets around Bruno, tries to thread it through for João Pedro, who was caught late.
He's going to get carded, Cher.
He's going to get a yellow card eventually. Persistent fouling on João Pedro. With a bit of a grin, Cher discusses things with the referee. In a few of those, there can't be too many more because he's now in the book. 1-0 to Brighton. Newcastle have never won here in the Premier League. 4 draws, 2 defeats. They've actually never won a top-flight match at Brighton at all. And they had some early chances, but they find themselves a goal down. Anthony Gordon concedes a corner following a short ball from the free kick that was then lifted into the box. Right-footed outswinger being prepared. Pascal Gross. João Pedro stands between the goalkeeper and Bruno. Referee might want to keep an eye on that. He's at the edge of the area, Stuart Atwell. It's an outswinger then towards the penalty spot, and Dunk and Van Hecker were there. It was Dunk who got the header. No power in it really, and it drops wide.
Yeah, just got up, didn't he? Ball was dying, couldn't get any real power on it.
BBC Radio Newcastle. Non-league roundup coming at half-time, and more reaction to Sunderland's match as well. They've given it away from the back, Newcastle. Pascal Gross. Bruno out to him. Joelinton on top of him. No foul. No appeals from the Brighton players, just the fans. Newcastle have it. Wide left, Gordon. That's a good one inside to Tonali, who's held off the attentions of Gross and got it back to Bruno in the centre circle. But they closed the space off, Brighton. And Newcastle are going backwards with the ball. It's Byrne under pressure from Ferguson. Target now into Joe Linton. He's got room. We'll get the numbers board shortly at the end of the first half.
Good ball.
Looking for an equaliser. Almiron, left side. Given to Gordon. He's going to carry it and take it on. Does that. Then back to Tonali. Chipped in. Looking to get it onto the head of Isak. Headed out by a defender. And Trippier lets it run for a throw. 20 yards from the goal. Bruno with it. Inside to Cher. Craig Pawson, the fourth official, says there'll be 2 minutes additional time as a minimum extra period. Newcastle in possession in Brighton's half, trying to get level before the whistle goes. Cher. Diagonal ball. Gordon will let it come. Controls it with his head. Sliding challenge on him, forces him away. Now he's cut in towards goal, but it's a heavy touch. He overran it. Pushed away. And Cher to Byrne. Try again, Newcastle. Target 35 yards out. Back to Byrne. Infield, one man to Cher, and then out wide left to Joe Linton. A pass intercepted. Then he tried again, and it's away by Brighton, and Byrne down the line. He doesn't look fit, Joe Linton. And out it goes.
Doesn't look fit.
Got lots of tape around his left knee. Something to think about, something to keep an eye on during the half-time break. Maybe he will be replaced. Graham Jones joins Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall in front of the seats on Newcastle's bench next to the Brighton blue AstroTurf track between the dugout area and the pitch. They could change it at half-time. They might want to.
I just don't think Joe Linton's looked fit.
Gross to Ferguson. He comes deep. Then a ball laid off to Gilmour. Mitoma tackled by Trippier. They want the throw, but it's half-time anyway. So there's the whistle from Stuart Atwell, and Newcastle United are a goal down here at Brighton after 45 minutes. A half that started with some promise in the sense that they created a couple of opportunities for Alexander Isak that he couldn't take. They had other chances through Almiron, a deflected cross that almost crept in, and Joe Linton pulling one wide, but that was after Brighton had taken the lead, and Nick Pope involved. It was a bit of a mess defensively, a clearance that they didn't get away properly, a couple of saves, but the second one Pope spilled, and Evan Ferguson smacked it into the back of the net to give the home side their advantage. John Anderson, how would you assess it?
Could have been off to the perfect start. Brighton doing what they do, trying to play out from the back, cause themselves all sorts of problems. Isak's had two great chances, but the goal is a calamity, really. You know, it's a poor clearance from Pope. He does well then to save it with his feet. The follow-up shot, it's really straight at him. You know, he should be holding it. He spills it, bounces off his chest, and Ferguson he's there and he rolls it in. Brighton taking chances, doing what Brighton do. You know, we've seen them do it at our place at the back end of last season, and it caused them all sorts of problems. They're doing it again today. I don't think we're being brave enough in the press. I don't think Joe Linton looks fit. I wouldn't bet on him appearing for the second half, but look, work to be done, that's for sure.
We'll bring the second half live from the Amex Stadium here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Newcastle lost 3 matches in a row in the Premier League since March to April last year, but back-to-back losses and now trailing at the break. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Newcastle United 0.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Work to do to get back into the match then, losing by a 1-0 after 45 minutes here at the Amex Stadium. Newcastle substitutes have been out on the pitch, all of them during the half-time break. and no suggestion at the moment that they will change it for the start of the second half. We are waiting for Brighton and Newcastle's starting players to come back from the changing rooms. The tunnel is to our left, only a few metres away. Supporters who are in the Brighton home section next to the commentary box, leaning over the wall, trying to get a good look at the heroes as they get ready for the second half and come back out onto the pitch. We were just talking there, Rando, before we came back on, that about the goal, and I had a chance to review it at half-time. And
yeah, there's so many mistakes with the goal. I mean, Pope's first ball knocks it straight into midfield to a blue and white short. He retrieves it a bit with the save, with his feet, comes back out, and he should hold the strike. I think it bounces straight off his chest, but Tonali hooks it, doesn't get anything on it, but just ambles out to, I think it was Gilmour who hit the shot, doesn't get to him, doesn't get close enough to him. It's far too easy.
Well, Joe Linton is back out for the second half. And Newcastle would appear to be unchanged. Pope, Trippier, Cher, Byrne and Targett. Tonali, Bruno and Joe Linton having a three-way chat in midfield as the rest of the players take their positions. Trippier goes to Almiron, arm round his shoulder, word in his ear. Gordon on the left, Isak up front. So still on the bench then Dubravka, Lascelles, Wilson, Barnes, Hall looking to make his debut today, Livramento, Murphy, Anderson, Longstaff. Brighton no changes, they lead 1-0. Bart Verbruggen in goal, Joel Veltman, Jan-Paul van Hecke, Lewis Dunk, Pervis Estepinian, Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmour in midfield, Solly March, João Pedro in the number 10 role, playing behind Evan Ferguson up top, and Karu Mitoma left wing. Newcastle kicking towards the goal to our left. And it is a second half that's underway. BBC Radio Newcastle, NUFC TV, the green away shirt but with white shorts and socks against Brighton's blue and white stripes. Cher over to this near side to Targett, rolled down the line to Gordon, backwards with his first touch, then takes another, then lifts it over the heads of Brighton players to Trippier on the far side. Almiron gets it, comes back in to Cher with the pass, 10 yards from halfway, thought about a long ball, then eased off, slowed down, and across to the big man, and Burns' pass to Targett. Gordon makes the run, trying to get in behind Veltman. Gordon onto this in the area, is he? No, Van Hecke's there, and sees it behind. That's a goal kick. Decent attempt from Gordon to get there, didn't give it up, but the ball just favoured the centre half as it's bending in towards goal.
Yeah, just ball had too much pace on it. To be fair, as you say, didn't give it up, but it was always beating them.
Short play from the back, edge of the area, Gilmour. Now coming together between March and Targett on halfway. Both players wanted the free kick. It went over their heads as they slipped, and Newcastle happy that Byrne was there to get the ball and play on. Had Brighton had a run at him behind, then as there was no foul, that would have been worrying. 1-0 down, 2 minutes gone in the second half. Tonali having his shirt pulled, but it's powerful midfield running and good play. Cross halfway to Targett, warmly applauded by the 3,000 away fans. Targett's ball to Gordon. It's moved back to Byrne, takes a touch inside to Cher. Trippier goes square, gives him the option. It's given to Trippier, then it's tossed inside to Bruno Guimaraes, having a look. Isak, who's peeled off, takes it and moves it to Almiron. Coming in off the right wing on his left to Bruno, back through for Almiron, but Tonali gets there in the penalty area. Tonali's ball inside is cleared. Trippier with a foul from behind on Mitoma, in line with Brighton's penalty box. Free kick given.
Bright enough start.
Decent possession. Almiron, we know he likes to do that, link up with Bruno that way. Did it famously at Fulham last season, but many other times. And the ball was eventually played to Tonali. This is Byrne holding on and pulling Ferguson. Clear foul under the nose of the referee.
Struggled against him, hasn't he?
Free kick on halfway.
A big, strong boy, 18 years of age.
And he plays for Ireland, doesn't he? So starts.
Yeah. He's our best player.
Right. Well, he's a very good player. I'm sure he'll only get better. He's the game's goal scorer. Newcastle have got 2 in the book. Gordon and Shea yellow carded from the first half. Big chances though. Isak with 2, and then he got in and cut it back, but there was no one to tap it in. Joe Linton pulled one wide. Almiron had a chance as well. Tonali flashed one across goal, and Gordon couldn't get there at the back stick. It's not as if they didn't have openings, opportunities, moments. But they are losing 1-0. They've got a throw in the left-back position. Bruno to target, and a right-footed clearance that is not the best. João Pedro has picked it up. Evan Ferguson then got involved, but it spun away and went out, and Target has another throw. Needs an option, hasn't got much. Tonali makes a run back to Target, stabbed forwards. Isak backs in, and it's hit dunk on the shoulder, and the defender is able to take a second touch. Veltman back to the goalkeeper. James Milner getting some instructions from the Brighton coaching staff, suggesting that he might be coming on at some point. Still early in the second half, we're only in the 50th minute. An attack from the home team. Down the left, Albion with Estepinian. Van Hecker now in central defence, receiving the ball at his feet from Veltman. Then bringing it inside and playing it back out wide to Veltman, then inside to Gross and out wide to March. Ferguson after it. Too close to Pope with the threaded pass through into the box.
Thought he was going to have a go at Bourne. To be fair, Ferguson's killed the space as well.
Newcastle with it. Up the right wing, Trippier to Almiron, then back to the skipper, Bruno to Shea, sliding in is Estepinian to intercept Shea's pass. He's made a good sliding recovery, challenge Fabian Shea on a yellow card, remember, on João Pedro. He got it right that time. Then Tonali losing out to Mitoma. Brighton throw left wing.
Got to be stronger.
This is BBC Radio Newcastle, NUFC TV, and it's now Byrne stepping up out of defence, trying to win it from Ferguson, but the Irish striker gets away into the box, and there's nobody on the end of that but Nick Pope, who rolls it out. Oh, Gordon hadn't seen it, but he recovers quickly. It's behind him, he was going the other way, and Joe Linton let it run. Newcastle keep possession, Target into Joe Linton, and then he's under pressure, but he's got it back to Target, who's lost it to March. Brighton into the box on the right side. João Pedro takes a touch. Bruno Guimaraes brilliant to get back, needs to get it clear. He's running across the 6-yard box, almost lost it, passes it out of play on the far side. Tonali not able to get there. Eddie Howe staring at the floor, walks back to the bench to Jason Tindall. Newcastle need to sort this out.
Just put your foot through it.
It's been brought back, would you believe, for an offside against João Pedro. João Pedro, tall but skinny forward, bit of a nuisance. Ball wouldn't come down quickly enough for him with that chance, but wouldn't have mattered anyway. Almiron playing really well with that bringing it infield and then bending a pass across to Target, inside to Gordon. Bit of space opening up for Newcastle, but Gordon's pass is stopped by Estepinian. And then they prevent Mitoma from getting away at the expense of a throw on halfway. Almiron had players following him and they were out of the game once the ball came across. But when Gordon's pass was intercepted, that was the end of the attack. Harvey Barnes, Callum Wilson, Jacob Murphy, all warming up. A goal down Newcastle. Veltman carries it over halfway. Gordon quickly there to stop him with his progress, but he's instead played a ball through for Grosser into the box. Oh, and now Trippier with a clearance straight to João Pedro. He's tried to roll it back to Ferguson, and then it's a foul on Trippier, who will be the most relieved player on the pitch, because he almost gifted Brighton a second goal.
Look, there's one thing being confident, it's another thing doing things like that. Gets away with it.
Newcastle without Sven Botman, and not for the first time today in a total tangle in their defensive third. Target's lost it there to March, and it's gone out off target. Hands on hips from the manager, still with three lads warming up. He's not saying anything to the players at the moment, Eddie Howe. Callum Wilson comes back to the bench. We played 10 minutes in the second half. Basically, it's going the way that it usually does here at Brighton, where Newcastle find it tough. Headed inside by March from the throw, back towards him on the goal line, wide of the posts. Bruno puts it out, and it's a corner. Wilson is with Tyndall, and they've got the tablet device there. His yellow bib is coming off, so he's going to be first on. I think we'll keep Isak on and go with possibly a different system.
Elliot Anderson
and Longstaff are coming back to the bench as well. Don't know if they're coming on yet. Seems like they are. And Barnes is getting ready. Here's the corner. Flicked away. Ferguson. It was a Brighton touch. It's gone behind for a goal kick. He can't keep it in. 4 players, I think. Now Barnes has put a bib on, so it's just going to be a triple change. Substitutions were made a little bit later than this last weekend, but they were the focus of a lot of the post-match discussion and the analysis from supporters. Some felt that they were not the right changes. These ones need to be the right changes. They are 1-0 down, and Brighton could be further ahead, and it hasn't been Newcastle at their best, not by a long stretch. Bruno, that's decent. Joe Linton went inside and then back outside and lost the ball to Mitoma. Ferguson around Byrne. Target, good covering. Rolled it back to Pope and got caught by Ferguson, having done so. And they'll have a free kick, Newcastle, for this. Wilson, Longstaff, Anderson, all coming on. Joe Linton replaced by Wilson. That's the first change. Almiron off for Anderson. And the final substitution sees Sean Longstaff come on for Sandro Tonali. They are leaving Isak on. He's gone to the left wing. Gordon's gone to the right. And that's how they've switched it. Still the same system then.
Yeah, it's all like for like, isn't it?
Anderson and Longstaff either side of Bruno. Isak left, Gordon right, Wilson centre.
Yeah.
Share with the ball down the right wing. Wilson went up for it. Brighton had it out. It's Wilson chesting it down to Bruno. First time to target, takes a touch, gets Isak involved off the left wing. Anderson down the line. Isak shifts it, goes around Veltman, drives the cross towards the near post area, and it's deflected behind. 59th minute of the match, 1-0 down. They have a corner.
Yeah, nice and direct. Get at the fullback. He's got the legs of him, that's for sure. Trippier comes across to this near side to whip it in.
Good reaction from the away fans. And Trippier with plenty of green to pick out in the middle. It's flashed towards the back post and the keeper came. Did he touch it? Referee says no. Verbruggen swung his hand at the ball, his arm at the ball, and missed it with his right glove. Goal kick. Set pieces haven't really been to their liking today, Newcastle. Veltman inside, Byrne stepping up, winning it. Wilson looking for Anderson, and now Wilson's gone down, but the decision's gone Brighton's way.
Right as well.
It's caught Veltman.
Yeah. It's gone through the back of him.
Players on both sides having their say. Nothing else for the referee to do other than to blow the whistle. No cards. Free kick. Van Hecke forwards. Target. He's worried by the presence of March, but rolled back to Pope. Takes a touch. March is right on the goalkeeper. Out it goes to Trippier, closed down by Mitoma, and then Estepinian intercepts, but his ball inside, straight to Cher. On to Longstaff, laid off to Bruno. Anderson can't take it. The ball didn't give him a chance though. It's up around waist height and he's having to dangle out a leg to try and bring it down. Difficult for Anderson. Brighton back to the keeper. Veltman now controlling it out wide from Verbruggen's pass. Anderson closing down with a lot of intensity, but Gross away. Longstaff with him. Gross shrugs off that challenge, rides another. Cher gets involved with one tackle, then a header, then March heads it against Anderson, and Longstaff can play forwards. Good ball by Sean Longstaff.
Go on,
Isak
get out
away into the area, onto his right, onto his left, and then Van Hecke behind for a corner. Trippier's come jogging across, and Anderson leaves it for Trippier.
Yeah, direct again. Give the defender credit, decent defending.
It's twice he's just been there when Isak looked like he was about to score. Happened right at the start of the match, and there in minute 61 as Newcastle push for an equaliser. Corner kick is into the middle of the 6-yard box. Couple of headers. It's pushed back by Fabian Cher, and then a clearance from Brighton. And they're trying to let it run, Newcastle. Gilmore's kept it in. And good play by Target to see it back to Pope. But Gilmore applauded by the home supporters.
Yeah, it took two of them, didn't it? They both let it bounce.
Trippier diagonal ball. Veltman's header. Isak picks up the second ball and does well to hold off March. Tries to scoop it inside for Anderson. Newcastle wanting some sort of decision, not given. Longstaff gives Gilmore a nudge, but the Scottish international plays on down the line. Byrne has done well against Ferguson there and kept it in. He appeals for a throw.
Yeah, there wasn't enough pace on the ball for Ferguson, thankfully.
Byrne down the line, but out of Longstaff. Brighton get the ball, but a bit further back. Veltman dries it on his blue and white jersey. This is BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport back on Monday and every weekday evening, 6 till 8. You can phone in to have your say. Hear the latest on Newcastle and Sunderland. Listen live or listen back anytime on BBC Sounds as well to Total Sport North East on BBC Radio Newcastle. This is Byrne, edge of the penalty area. It's a ball that Matoma's closing down as it looked like it was slowing down. Trippier inside to Pope, and then a long pass up the pitch. Home side get it back to the goalkeeper. Cher makes the challenge on João Pedro. He's got to get all of those right, and he has in the second half so far. Gordon on the right wing with a turn inside to Bruno. Bruno shifts it, and then the pass to Isak near to the left corner of the box. Anderson inside, got a man on him. Solly March brings it clear and keeps going. March up to halfway. João Pedro, it's opened up for Brighton, 3-on-3. Ferguson's the one they look for, but Byrne gets there first again with a touch, then the clearance. Isak now to Anderson, backing into Gross, who's won it. And Gross at the edge of the area to March. Wide, they play it to Ferguson, back down the line to Veltman, and inside to Gilmour. Still possession for Brighton, and it's Lewis Dunk. That's a slip from Gilmour, but he got fortunate and was able to play it forwards, and then the shot into the bottom corner. It's Evan Ferguson again. Gilmour slipped but managed to get there just before a Newcastle player to prod it forwards, and Evan Ferguson from distance has doubled the lead. 25 minutes to play. Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Newcastle United 0.
Backed off him again, didn't he? It's a good hit. Just whipped it, hasn't he? Could Pope have done better? I need to see it again. Dan Bourne backs off him again, look. Keeper's position.
Goalkeeper's a long way from it with his dive across Pope. Byrne had backed off, as Ando says, to give Ferguson the space, and he's just curled it one bounce up and then into the corner, but low down in the net. That's his third goal of the season, the 18-year-old. Newcastle had made a triple change, but Brighton are further ahead. What do they do now? Going to take something remarkable to leave Brighton without a defeat tonight. Back to Pope, kept in by a header from Longstaff, and then Gordon to Longstaff again, up to Wilson on the turn with a nice touch, but the defender Van Hecker's there only as far as Anderson. Isak could get one back quickly here, through for Anderson into the penalty area, the cut back, here's Anthony Gordon, and it's wide at the near post. Gordon following in, and just like after Brighton's first goal, when they had a big chance through Joe Linton, Newcastle missed the opportunity to respond immediately. A quick break, Isak to Anderson, and then Gordon was coming in.
Oh, it's a million miles away.
He's missed it by some distance.
Can't keep throwing up chances like that, especially away from home. Isak in the first half, Gordon on this occasion.
Champions League, you're having a laugh, sing the Brighton fans. Isak makes a challenge near to halfway, then Veltman gets involved with Target, who is yellow carded for not retreating quickly enough. Referee won't let them take the free kick early.
He's booked somebody in.
No, Target for not getting away. Conversation between Howe and Tyndall. And they've got Hall, Murphy and Barnes sprinting up and down the touchline. And they've got 22 minutes of normal time left and a 2-0 Brighton lead to try and reduce, for starters. BBC Radio Newcastle. Verbruggen on the 6-yard line with a turn to fool Gordon, get away from the Newcastle winger, and up the pitch they go, the left wing, and then inside to João Pedro, and Cher has been much better with him in the second half, clears again, but now it's Ferguson in between the Newcastle midfield and defence. Moves it over to the left wing to Mitoma. Gilmour back to Dunk. And they work their way back to the keeper, who's outside of the penalty area. Long ball towards Mitoma. That's a United throw. Noise is coming from the Newcastle fans. Cher to Burn. Edge of the box. Back across to the right to Cher. First time returned to Burn. He's carried it, and the pass towards Anderson intercepted by Gross. March to the feet of Ferguson, and then a first time ball back to Veltman. Now into the final third. Mitoma holds off Gordon. Ferguson on the 18-yard line. Ferguson deflected, and he'll claim the hat-trick goal as Brighton extend their lead, and they are probably out of sight now. 20 minutes to play. Ferguson with all three. Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Newcastle United 0.
Well, not a great deal anybody can do about that, to be fair, is it? It's taken a huge deflection. Totally wrong foot's Pope. Ends up in the back of the net.
Now the shot deflected against Cher. There's Mitoma who got the space and laid it off. Might have been going in anyway into the far corner. They missed 2 early chances at the start of the first half, and Brighton assumed control from then on, really. They still had opportunities at 1-0 down, Newcastle. This is Isak, that's lovely skill into the box. It's really good from Isak. Can't find a finish. Van Hecke in the way. March on the wing to Gross. You wouldn't say there's a Brighton player who's played badly today. Looking like they're going to bring on Jamal Lascelles. They're calling for Harvey Barnes as well. It's a free kick in midfield in the meantime for Brighton. Bruno, the guilty party. And Barnes, like he's done in every match so far, is going to appear as a sub. Lascelles and Barnes will be the last 2 on. Might be putting Burn at left back.
Might be taking him off.
Target's not had the easiest afternoon either. 3-0 down. Mitoma attempts to spin around Cher. who responds with a really good recovery challenge. Bruno to Anderson. It's at the feet of Isak, and it's there for Anderson to chase, but behind for a goal kick. Didn't want it there, didn't expect it. Isak now outstretched arms, looks at Anderson, and he's coming off, the Swede anyway. Alexander Isak, that's it for him today. Barnes, his replacement. Lascelles on for target. Burns shuffles back across to left back. And Cher goes to the left side of the centre. Lascelles to the right. Trippier gives Lascelles the armband. Lascelles with a header. Straight away, but it's gone to a Brighton man. Gordon
did well.
Yeah, won the ball back, then Longstaff with a dummy and a pass to Trippier. This is Gordon's opportunity maybe to run down the right wing, but he's stopped by Mitoma. Back with the pass to Trippier, then Longstaff, bring it inside. Lascelles to Cher, forwards to Bruno. He's got two on him. Back to Cher at an angle into Wilson. That's lovely. That's a flick through his legs to Longstaff. He's got his head up and looking at his options. Anderson lets it run. This is Harvey Barnes into the area. He's teased it into the middle, but it's cleared. I don't know whether that was a cross or a shot from Barnes. Trippier with a challenge to clear the ball. Then a slip from Gilmour. Longstaff, edge of the box. He's passed it to Purvis Estepinian, and I think he was aiming it towards Wilson. Byrne wins the knockdown, but Veltman's got it. Byrne has fouled March, and he is the latest Newcastle player to be booked. Brighton changes will be made in a moment. There was the match here during one of the lockdowns and in the behind closed doors period, which was an absolute shocker under Steve Bruce. But this, certainly in the sense of the scoreline, is a nightmare, and it hasn't been great either. Brighton 3, Newcastle 0. 14 minutes to play.
Yeah, Brighton making substitutions. Lamptey coming on. Joe Pedro going off. Billy Gilmour coming off. And Dahoud coming on.
They put Tariq Lamptey.
Played well, Gilmour. Yeah. It's been neat and tidy in that central midfield area.
Tariq Lamptey, who's a fullback, has gone to the right wing, and Solly March has moved in one to play behind Ferguson, and then the midfielder who's come on, Mahmoud Dahoud. They signed him on a free from Borussia Dortmund in the summer. It's a straight swap for Gilmour, double change. Dahoud involved in his penalty box with a pass that goes out to the wide position. Byrne then, ball running through his legs. He's recovered really well.
How lucky did he get?
I'll give him the credit. A 2 on him, got away with it. Gordon on the right, but 35-40 yards out with the ball. Trippier to Lascelles. They made all of their 5 changes. James Milner's going to come on for Brighton. Trippier on to Gordon, he's on halfway on the wing. Inside to Bruno, holds off one challenge, another comes in. Newcastle get away through Wilson. And Longstaff trying to fire it into the middle. There's a challenge from Trippier. There are 2 Brighton players down, one from an earlier situation. Estepinian and then Trippier caught Ferguson.
Oh, he's just rolled him, isn't he?
Ferguson caught Bruno. Was it Ferguson? Estepinian caught Bruno. Ferguson and then Trippier in that second coming together. Trippier's taken a bit of a whack, but doesn't require medical attention. Bruggen, the goalkeeper, passes it to the left to Dunk. Newcastle are 3-0 down, and there are 11 minutes of normal time remaining. Lascelles makes a challenge on Ferguson. Now, do the physical battle for the next 10-15 minutes, those two, and they're at it again. Ferguson with the first touch, but Lascelles nearly pinched it back. Brighton, as they are so good at holding on to possession. Toma and Gross. Van Hecke, it's at walking pace now.
Go and get him!
Anderson scored twice against Brighton in pre-season in America. Closes him down. Goalkeeper lifts it out to the right wing and it's gone for a throw. Barnes. Wants Byrne to take it. He does take it, but the whistle's gone. He'll have to do it again. James Milner is coming on for Solly March, and Adam Lallana will replace Evan Ferguson. The third goal might be an own goal, but he definitely got the first two, Ferguson.
The boy's a player, isn't he? Tell you what, Sonny Marsh has played well for them today as well.
And now Newcastle throw it back to Cher. Lascelles square to Trippier. Gordon's dropped in, receives it on the touchline. Trippier onto Longstaff, out to Gordon, back into Longstaff, tackled, but Gordon finds the ball first and plays it to Lascelles. Noisy away section despite the scoreline, 3-0 to Brighton. Cher has the ball. It's an angled pass to Bruno. Longstaff on halfway, dispossessed by Lallana. It was Milner actually, not Lallana.
We've been a yard slower than them all over the pitch.
Dunk. He is on the left, he hammers it into the middle to Van Hecke. Barnes can't intercept. Lamptey to Gross, and the return ball for Lamptey away from Sheu. Tried to take him down. Lamptey into the box, stopped by Byrne. Plays it back, and Newcastle have enough men there to intercept. And then Bruno caught by Lamptey in the box, and he'll get a yellow card for that challenge. First Brighton player to be cautioned today. tried to go with a quicker free kick than the referee wanted. Need to do it again. Pope, left-footed pass across the penalty area to Lascelles. Trippier, Brighton closing down, releases it to Gordon. Nearly dispossessed on the edge of the box. Bruno back to Lascelles. Wilson, who's hardly had a kick since coming on. One nice flick, drag back, a little flick inside. There he receives the ball, holds it up and wins a throw on halfway. BBC Radio Newcastle. If you want to hear from Eddie Howe after the match, we'll put it on Twitter at BBC Newcastle. Lascelles dropping it into the corner towards Gordon, but it's a ball that has too much behind it. Goal kick as Gordon applauds Lascelles, acknowledging the idea. 6 minutes remaining.
31,620. As always, thank you for your amazing support.
Share lifted up to the edge of the box, and that's beaten everybody again, kept in by Verbruggen this time. No hurry to pick it up and roll it to Van Hekke. Will be determined to protect their clean sheet, will the Brighton players. 3-0 the score. Ball is at the feet of the goalkeeper. Newcastle backing off at the moment. Forwards to Lallana, then Gross, they've lost it. Anderson winning it back. Lascelles towards Gordon. Estepinian intercepts. Mitoma loses out in a challenge. Gordon did well to win it. Trippier back to Gordon. He's got a man on him immediately. He'll have a go down the right, and he's fouled Anthony Gordon, and that could be another yellow card for Brighton.
Mitoma's been awful today.
And it's Milner who's booked. He would be the one player that you would probably have feared more than anybody
else.
else.
Done nothing.
But
he's probably been the poorest player.
There will be another Brighton change in a moment or two. Man of the match for Evan Ferguson. The first 2 goals and then the third he'll claim. Huge deflection off Share though. Here's the Newcastle free kick. An opportunity to pull one back. Fabian Schär with a header, caught at the near post by Verbruggen. Dunk. Forward pass to Milner, back to the centre half, a long ball. Pope leaves his area and he has to play it for a throw. Gets back into his goal. The change for Brighton will be made shortly. We will have a little bit of time after the match to go through some messages, so as Brighton play it back to Verbruggen, the keeper, leading 3-0. If you want to send us a WhatsApp message, put BBC at the start. The number's 08000 321 333. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start it with BBC. If you're texting, BBC at the start as well, and a shorter number, 81333. And Twitter is at BBC Newcastle.
Gross comes off. Adingra comes on.
Played well for them in there again. Pascal Gross scored against West Ham last week. He's now Brighton's outright leading Premier League goal scorer in 6 years in the division. Simon Adingra is an Ivorian international forward who they signed from Nordsjælland in Denmark last year and then loaned out. They always get these young players and loan them out and then seem to come back and excel. Did it with Mitoma, did it with McAllister, who's now at Liverpool, and many others beyond those examples. Newcastle free kick into the box, Burn header on, keeper's going to get there. Lascelles was the closest player on from Burn to it. A defiant travelling support. You wouldn't, if you looked at them, believe their team was 3-0 down and hadn't played well. Singing about the Champions League. It's the Premier League that's an issue at the moment. It's going to be 3 points from the first 4 matches. It could get worse here. Mitoma, Adingra. It's an effort lifted up that didn't reach the goal. Overhead kick clear by Cher. Estepinian to Adingra, now Dahoud. And it's still with Brighton on the left wing, but the immediate threat has been stopped. Dunk to Lallana. He's got good feet, it's tidy play. Passes it to Mitoma. We've reached the end of the 90. There'll be a minimum of 7 additional minutes.
There will be a minimum of 7 minutes at a time.
Dunk to Lallana, who was stooping and chested it down. Plays the pass to Veltman. Milner onto Lallana. Lamptey out wide. Receives it 30 yards from Newcastle's goal. To Milner, and a first time pass to Dunk, now in the Newcastle half. Mitoma doesn't run with it, passes it back to Dunk, driven through for Simon Adingra from Estepinian's pass, but the offside flag is up. Trippier to Pope, onto Cher, Burn available and receives it, closed down by Lamptey, up to Barnes, who's hardly been involved since coming on. Anderson fouled by Dahoud on halfway. There was had a couple of attacks, if you could call them that, maybe a very brief spell following the triple change, but it didn't lead to anything, and you would say again that it hasn't worked. No, last week, for different reasons.
No, they've been sharper than us. They've been a yard quicker at everything they've done.
Gordon again runs backwards to get the ball, and it's Longstaff. Wilson makes a run off Dunk and will get there into the penalty area on his chest, gets around his man Callum Wilson with a superbly taken goal. That is top quality from Newcastle's top marksman, and it is one back in added on time. Wilson with his first of the season, on from the bench in the second half. 92 minutes played. Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Newcastle United 1. Surely not.
I've said it all game. Dunk just doesn't want to defend. Just lets him run. Gets wrong side of him. Defended. It's been poor. Simple finish.
Van Hecke was the defender. Brighton will kick off. I said surely not, because there's still 5 minutes to play. Back to the keeper, Brighton. And they've got the cushion of a 2-goal lead now, and the keeper goes long with this pass out to the wing to Veltman. Burn is there. That's Barnes. It's across the pitch. Longstaff was braver than Mitoma.
Oh yeah, he's
wins the challenge. Gordon with the ball. "93 minutes, 20 seconds. They said there'd be 7 additional minutes. Newcastle have scored. It's 3-1. Anderson to Barnes. Crowded out. And Barnes has won a free kick. I thought it was going to go Brighton's way.
So did I.
So did their coaching staff, who are rather animated at the moment. If they score something from this, they would then have around 3 minutes to give us the most unlikely comeback. Wilson makes a run to the near side, but Trippier's not going to play the ball. It's left of centre, 35 yards out, sent into the box. One header from Newcastle, away by Brighton. Bruno back to Trippier, furthest man back, almost at left back, lifted into the area. Byrne having his shirt pulled, it's dropped near to him. Cher is down, Brighton are playing on, and the home team get a free kick.
The Sales rugby tackles him.
But they're saying that Cher was down and they were wanting him to...
He's booked.
Dahoud for...
Dahoud. What for?
Must have been calling for a yellow card for Lascelles. Cher's got cramp in his hamstring or calf. And the minuscule possibility of a comeback seems to have disappeared entirely. There are 95 minutes on the clock. Brighton 3, Newcastle 1. Here on BBC Radio Newcastle, 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Put BBC at the start to contact us. Or 81333 if you're texting. Start it with BBC as well. Standard network rates will apply if it's a text message. Lamptey to Lallana. Shrugs off Anderson. Final third for Brighton, right-hand side. Lamptey pushed away from goal by Byrne. Referee says play on. It's not worth getting sent off for Dan Byrne. It wasn't particularly bad, but it might have been a foul. Dahoud takes it under pressure. If he'd got that wrong, Longstaff could have nicked it and would have been in. Dunk. But he didn't. He didn't. But that was the pressure that was on him. And he was cool under pressure. Mitoma, offside.
He's been poor.
Bruno to Trippier in midfield. Cher, they've pushed on Newcastle. Barnes wide on this left-hand side, just laid off to Byrne. Didn't have the chance to run. Harvey Barnes are into the final minute of the 7. 3-1 down. Lascelles to Bruno. Oh, towards Cher, but intercepted by the speedy Lamptey, who's into the box. And it's towards the back post, and Mitoma has missed it.
Sums is evening up. Sums is night up. Heard him saying beforehand he wants to score 50 goals in the Premier League. Well, that should have been 1. Sloppy again. We give it away.
The run.
It's a corner.
Yeah, should have been. Should the credit to Trippier, because Trippier took it away from him, and Newcastle play on with it being their ball when it ought not to have been. That's a foul by Lallana on Longstaff. Trippier to Bruno, away from Dahoud, and then fouled by Lallana. Could be a yellow card. Longstaff's angry. Lallana is booked. Longstaff's chasing after Lallana. Referee's getting in the way. A couple of fouls in there from Brighton. We're still playing. 98th minute. 3-1 down. They've sent everybody up the pitch. Pope's going to take the kick. Brighton's defensive line is across the middle of their half. Short to Trippier, who's come back. Now he sends it to the edge of the area. Backwards header from Dunk. Nobody in Newcastle green able to get there, and the keeper catches it. Stuart Atwell looks at his watch, blows his whistle, and it's a resounding victory for Brighton over a Newcastle team that has lost 3 matches in a row for the first time in well over a year, and 3 out of 4 defeats already this season. Last season, for comparison, their 3rd defeat didn't come until the 24th Premier League fixture, which was the 2-0 loss at Manchester City. 3-1, Evan Ferguson will claim the hat-trick despite a big deflection on the 3rd. Callum Wilson pulling one back, took it so well in added on time. His only real opportunity after coming on in the second half. John Anderson, it's not great, it's another defeat.
Yeah, deserved defeat, can't have any complaints. We were a yard off the pace, they were sharper than us, they were hungrier, they passed it, they zipped it about. We were slow on our passing, slow on our pressing. Best side won of the night, can have no complaints.
They made changes in the second half. It was a triple change. As we touched on in the commentary, the changes last week were seen by some fans as having a negative effect on the team, the performance, and ultimately the outcome. Today, the changes, even though they weren't necessarily like for like, because Isak changed position and Wilson came on, didn't have the desired effect.
No, he made 5 substitutions and it had no impact on the game whatsoever. As I say, we can have no complaints. We were lax. We could have been a couple up early on, but even then we were lax.
Well, there's those chances from Isak in the first minutes, and Joe Linton could have made it 1-1. Almiron had a big chance. These opportunities that they didn't take.
You get punished if you don't take them, against quality sides. I mean, watching Brighton every week, it wouldn't be good for your nerves the way that they play from the back and one thing and another. But they believe in what they do, they've got a confidence in what they do. And the big boy up front was a real handful. Ferguson, he was top notch, the boy. As I say, no complaints whatsoever. Best side won.
08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your message with BBC. Are you worried, Ando?
Would be after that performance. Last 10 minutes last week should really see the game out. Didn't really expect anything at Manchester City, and people went, oh well, they only beat us 1-0. But we never looked like getting nothing out of that game. We were in control last week. Should have seen the game out. We didn't pay the penalty for it, but can have no complaints today. No complaints whatsoever. They were by far the better side.
On Twitter, it's at BBC Newcastle. We will put reaction on there tonight. You can also find it on BBC Sounds. The players have gone to the away supporters, and it's like they're having a party. They are bouncing up and down, waving their arms to the music. You'd think they'd been the ones that had won, but here again at the Amex Stadium, it's always been a problem for them. Even in the Championship, when they got that critical victory in the February with the late turnaround, it was a tough night. And in the Premier League, 7 visits and no wins. And they do have problems playing against Brighton, even at home, despite the win last season at the end of the campaign, which was so crucial in securing Champions League football. The players are coming off. Nick Pope's given his gloves and his shirt to a young Brighton ball boy. Now the home players head off the pitch. And it's a long time finally, for the moment, Ando, to think about this. No, understandable excitement on Thursday and since with the Champions League draw, and now the fixture schedule being published, and that's all to come later this month and into the autumn and in the winter. But the Premier League is where it matters at the moment, and they come back in a fortnight against a good Brentford team at St James's Park. 2 or 3 days before they play AC Milan away from home in the San Siro, needing 3 points to stop this disappointing run becoming a big problem.
Yeah, the last thing you wanted was to go into this international break on the back of 3 straight defeats. We spoke about it all through the week. It's a long time to wait to try and put it right, but you just wonder if there's people carrying knocks, if the boys are carrying knocks, gives them an opportunity to get over them. Obviously there's going to be a few who's going to be away on international duty, but yeah, it's a long time to dwell on it, you know, and then all of a sudden you've got Brentford, then you go to AC Milan. You know, it's not ideal, but look, it is what it is, you know. We weren't good enough today, and that's the truth of it, you know. Sometimes you've just got to hold your hand up and say we weren't good, and we weren't today.
Colin White in the studio. We'll go through some messages with Ando over the next few minutes. Text 81333, start it with BBC. Put BBC at the start if you want to WhatsApp us as well. 08000 321 333 is the number. Total Sport back on Monday at 6 for more considered reaction and the opportunity to have your say on the weekend's football on Newcastle and Sunderland. Callum Wilson in the 92nd minute pulled one back, but 3 from Evan Ferguson had Brighton firmly in control, and Newcastle 3 points from 4 matches, 3 defeats in a row, and beaten by 3 goals to 1.
Brighton 3, Newcastle United 1, and Evan Ferguson joins Son Heung-min and Erling Haaland in scoring a Premier League hat-trick today. Newcastle United lose 3-1 at Brighton. John Anderson was watching on, and everybody else sounded like they were having a party in the background in the last 5-10 minutes or so, but the music has stopped at least. I want to read you a message. First thing I want to do, Ando, read you this message and see how much you agree with it, because it's Ian from Teesside who says, has to be the worst performance for over 2 years. You can't normally criticise effort, but today you can. Brighton ran further, ran harder, wanted it more, and we didn't. To what extent do you agree with that assessment?
I don't think it's a case of they didn't try. The way Brighton played, they suck you on. They play through you, try to play out through you, frightens the life out of you, but they believe in it, and they did it well. And I think when you go 2 down, 3 down, it may well look like people aren't running and aren't chasing and one thing and another, but that's always the case when you're 3 down. You know, all of a sudden they grew in confidence. Everybody wanted the ball. They were just playing keep ball. They played keep ball, what we should have done in the final 10 minutes of the game last week against Liverpool. That's the truth of the matter, Colin. And look, you just hold your hands up and say, look, they were better than us on the day. You know, they were. We could have been a couple up inside the first 5 minutes. Yeah. But that set a tone for the rest of the game as well. You know, Isak got through and he wanted too much time, and then the second one he shins into the ground, and that set a tone for a performance for the rest of the game. They got on top. You know, the first goal's a calamity of errors all over the place. Nick Pope, poor clearance, redeems himself a little bit, saving with his feet. Strike comes in from Gilmore, I think it was, and it bounces off his chest. You know, he's got to do better with that as well, but it was what it was, and you know, there's a lot for the manager and his coaching team to think about.
Yeah, I mean, talking actually of Eddie Howe, then it was an unchanged team after 2 defeats in a row. Obviously the Liverpool team, the team that started against Liverpool, was unchanged from the Manchester City defeat as well. Is it a little bit unusual, and would you understand people questioning that, you know, that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and again and expecting different results? Well, I know Botman was the only one.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at the quality of the opposition that you played against in the last 2 games. You know, would you blame them for changing the team that went to Manchester City and only got beat 1-0? No. Would you blame them for changing the team? You know, you've got to remember, he was getting criticised for the changes that he made last week, Colin. It wasn't for the team that he picked. You know, the team that he picked was well on top. You know, it was the substitutions that he was getting asked questions about. So he named the same side that started the game, and you'd have no problem on that because of the way that they played for 80 minutes. You know, so no, I thought, I have to say, I thought Joe Linton didn't look fit. I mean, we heard a rumour this morning, told this morning that Joe Linton wasn't playing and Anderson was playing. And then when we got here, we were told that Joe Linton was playing, but he didn't look fit to me tonight.
Well, it's interesting you mention him, because a lot of people are mentioning the midfield generally, and a couple have mentioned Joe Linton specifically. So John, who sent us a WhatsApp message, says Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton just doesn't work.
No.
William in Washington says the three midfielders do not work together. Would you agree with that on the evidence of the last couple of games at least?
I've said this, and I've said it to you in the office. I think Joe Linton and Tonali want to do the same things. I think they play too close together. They don't complement each other. We needed somebody who's a little bit different in there. We've got no variation in that midfield. There's nobody who runs box to box. Isak got himself the byline, great little pullback onto the penalty spot. You want a midfield player coming onto that, bang, back of the net, and you're looking and you're going, where's your midfield players? And they're all 15-20 yards outside the penalty area. So I think that's another thing that he's going to have to look at. I suppose questions will be asked: are they getting carried away with everything that they did last year and getting to a cup final and qualifying for the Champions League? It was always going to be more difficult this season. It was always going to be harder, because you're not an unknown quantity this season now. People know what to expect from you. They know what you're going to do. They know you're going to press. They know you work hard and chase and harry. And so it doesn't come as a surprise this season. It may have surprised sides last season. So look, it's a big fortnight for everybody to get ready for the Brentford game, and then obviously for the Champions League game against AC Milan. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, how much do we praise Brighton today, and how much do we kind of put into context, yes, it's 3 defeats, but it's 3 defeats to Manchester City, Liverpool and Brighton?
Well, West Ham came here and won 3-1.
Yeah, didn't touch the ball, but yes.
They'd frighten the life out of you watching them every week, the way they play. They play a real high line, they play from the back. They have it in real dangerous areas, but they believe in what they do, and they did it well today. You could say that our press wasn't good enough. I was shouting at times in the first half, "Go on, press!" We need.
I think squeeze was the word you were shouting quite a lot. Yes,
and we didn't squeeze. We didn't put a squeeze on it. It was a little bit too easy for them to play out. I got back to the game at St James's last year when we absolutely tore them apart, and they kept doing that, and we just kept squeezing them in there and squeezing the life out of them, and they couldn't get out, and it was a little bit too easy for them today.
And therefore, just finally, I mean, you've said it's a big 2 weeks. What, in your opinion, actually bearing in mind that a lot of the squad go away on international duty as well, so it's not an unbroken 2 weeks with this squad, what can Eddie Howe do? What should he be thinking about looking at?
Oh, it's going to be difficult. The one thing he would want would be to have these players here. He hasn't. He will only get them back the middle of the week before Brentford. So again, that's not ideal preparation to try and put the wrongs of today right. But look at it. It is what it is. It's the same for every team who've got players away on international duty. You've just got to make do. But it's probably the worst scenario. We kept saying beforehand, you don't want to go into this international break on the back of 3 defeats on the bounce. Unfortunately, that's the way it is, and it's a long time to stew on it. But we're going to have to get it right. We're going to have to one or two things are going to have to change. He's going to have to make decisions about certain individual players as well. He's been loyal to a lot of them, but there was 1 or 2 who were found wanting today.
Your only saving grace is it's an Irishman that scored all 3 for Brighton.
Tell you what, 18 years of age, he looks, oh boy, what a player.
Yes.
Big, strong. Couldn't bully him either. They tried to bully him and they just bounced off him. But it is what it is.
Indeed. Ando, thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Colin.
Safe
thank you.
Journey back as well. John Anderson, who was on co-commentary duties with Matthew Racebeck today. Thank you for all your messages as well. If I haven't got to read yours, I hopefully have at least read out the points and made the points that you were making in yours as well. And Total Sport is back at 6 o'clock on Monday. Simon Pride will be here with Ando as well, and with Marco Gabbiadini. So the number for the messages will be the same, 08000 321 333 for the WhatsApp messages. That's also the number if you're going to send us a voice note note as well, and then we can play it out on Total Sport on Monday. 08000 321 333. The text number is 81333, and the phone number, of course, from 6 o'clock on Monday, 0800 234 6565. So that was one of many Premier League games today. Of course, the early kickoff was Sheffield United 2, Everton 2. Everton had the lead after 15 minutes and then were 2-1 down at half-time, but Arnaud Danjuma equalised for them, and Jordan Pickford made some incredible saves in the final minute of that game as well to salvage a point for Everton. In the 3 o'clock games, there was also a 2-2 draw between Brentford and Bournemouth, and Brentford had an early lead and then went 2-1 down and had Brian Mbeumo to thank for rescuing a point for them in the 90th minute. I mentioned when we were talking about Evan Ferguson that he scored a hat-trick today, and he was one of 3 to do so. Son Heung-min, one of the other 2, as Spurs won 5-2 at Burnley, but they had been a goal down after just 4 minutes as well. Nottingham Forest won 1-0 away at Chelsea. Anthony Elanga 3 minutes into the second half, giving Forest all 3 points. And Erling Haaland, the other hat-trick man today, 3 in the second half as Manchester City beat Fulham by 5-1. That had been 1-1 just before half-time as well. Nathan Ake scoring just before half-time, and Fulham not impressed that goal stood despite the VAR check. It means that the Premier League table has Manchester City as the only team on the top with 4 wins from 4. Spurs and West Ham a couple of points behind them with 10 points from their opening 4 games, and Brighton are up into the top 4 as well. Down the bottom, Burnley and Luton, the only 2 without any points on the board at all. Everton and Sheffield United have 1, Bournemouth have 2, and then Newcastle United and Wolves have 3. But it is, of course, very, very early stages. That Newcastle game was our 3rd commentary of the day. We're going to go back to the first one now, though, because in that one it was a far happier outcome for those of us invested in that. Sunderland thrashed Southampton 5-0 at the Stadium of Light. Pierre Ekwa scored twice from long range. Jack Clark scored the first goal after just 53 seconds. Chris Rigg scored his first league goal for the club in the final minute of the game. Bradley Dack got the other one as well. Sunderland have a fortnight off now because of the international break, a bit like Newcastle, before they travel to Queen's Park Rangers for a 3 o'clock kickoff 2 weeks today. Elsewhere in the Championship today, the couple of other early games saw Birmingham draw 1-1 with Millwall. Jay Stansfield scoring for the second week in a row for Birmingham, and Bristol City come from behind to win 2-1 away at Swansea. Mark Sykes and Sam Bell with their goals. Coventry drew 3-3 at home to Watford, having had to come from behind 3 times. Mileta Rajovic scoring 2 of Watford's goals, but Coventry through Matt Godden in the 87th minute, giving themselves a point. Ipswich remain very high up the table. They have beaten Cardiff City by 3-2 today, despite being 2-0 down 7 or 8 minutes into the second half. Nathan Broadhead got one back, former Sunderland striker, and then Freddie Ladapo scored twice in 10 minutes. So Ipswich beat Cardiff 3-2. There were no goals between Leeds United and Sheffield Wednesday. There was only one as Leicester City lost at home to Hull. Liam Delap after 15 minutes. Middlesbrough remain bottom of the table after losing 2-0 at home to Queen's Park Rangers. One of those goals scored by Jack Colback. Plymouth beat Blackburn by 3-0. They scored 2 in the last 15 minutes or so. Rotherham beat Norwich by 2-1 as well. They were 2-0 up at half-time. Jordan Hugill scoring the second of Rotherham's goals. Will Keane scored twice as Preston won 2-0 away at Stoke City, twice in the space of 6 minutes in the second half as well. And Huddersfield were 2-1 winners away at West Bromwich Albion. Jack Rodoni giving them all 3 points in the 90th minute. In League One, Blackpool beat Wigan by 2-1, left it very, very late to do that. Bolton beat Derby by the same scoreline. Bristol Rovers equalised late on to draw 1-1 at home to Lincoln. Exeter, top of the table after winning 1-0 away at Burton Albion. Carlisle United left it late to make absolutely sure, but they beat Shrewsbury by 2-0. Joe Garner with the second in the 96th minute. Alfie May scored twice, including one from the penalty spot as Charlton beat Fleetwood 2-1. Barnsley were 2-0 winners away at Cheltenham. Stevenage were 3-0 winners away from home at Leyton Orient. Wycombe Wanderers also winning on the road 1-0 at Northampton. Port Vale did the same thing against the 9 men at the end of Oxford United, but it needed a 99th minute penalty for Port Vale to take all 3 points. At Portsmouth were a bit more comfortable with a 3-1 win over Peterborough. In League 2, Wrexham won 1-0 away from home at Tranmere in the early game. Aaron Hayden with the winner. Crewe Alexandra came from 1-0 down at half-time to actually beat MK Dons by 3-1 in the end. Doncaster are still bottom, but at least they have their second point of the season. They played the entire second half with 10 men as they drew 0-0 at home to Swindon. Grimsby beat Gillingham by 2-0. Barrow won 1-0 at Harrogate. Mansfield and Bradford was goalless. Morecambe beat Salford City by 1-0. Michael Mellon in the first half. Newport County 2, AFC Wimbledon 2. AFC Wimbledon had been 2-0 up at one stage in that one. Macaulay Langstaff, formerly of Gateshead, scored twice as Notts County went top of League 2 by beating Accrington Stanley 3-1. It was Stockport County 3, Crawley Town 3, a late equaliser for Stockport. Forest Green Rovers won 1-0 away at Sutton United, and Walsall were also 1-0 winners today at home to Colchester United. In non-league, it was a bit of a mixed afternoon, to be honest. It was a 5:30 kick-off in the National League, with Gateshead eventually drawing 2-2 at home to Oldham. They had to equalise twice, Gateshead, first through Jordan Hunter, then through Stephen Wern in the 87th minute, and despite Oldham playing injury time in the second half with 10 men after Mark Shelton was sent off for a second yellow card, it finished 2-2. In National League North, very much contrasting results. The Blythe Spartans beaten 3-1 away from home at Boston United. That is despite leading 1-0 in the 89th minute, and they then conceded 3 times. Some of that was while they were trying to chase an equaliser at that stage, but Boston United 3, Blythe Spartans 1, the full-time score. But South Shields, in our commentary game this afternoon, were 4-0 winners at home to Banbury United in National League North as well. Geordie Mongoy and Paul Blackett in the opening 13 minutes of the game. Aaron Martin made it 3-0 just before half-time, and then they made it 4-0 on the stroke of full-time through Luke James. They go joint second in the table alongside Scunthorpe, who they play on Tuesday night. In the Northern Premier League East Division, Ashington were beaten 2-0 at Bridlington, and Heburn's unbeaten start to the season ended with a 2-0 defeat at home to Liversedge. There were 4 of our teams in FA Cup first round qualifying action again today, and Morpeth were 2-1 winners over Radcliffe. Michael Turner equalised for Morpeth after just 6 minutes, and then Jeff Henderson scored what turned out to be the winner midway through the second half. But that was the only one of the 4 teams of ours who were successful today, because Heaton Stannington lost 2-1 at Tadcaster Albion. They put up a fight in the final 20 minutes or so after Conor Lamb got one back, but they couldn't get anything out of it. Consett were beaten 2-0 at home by Bradford Park Avenue, and Dunstan lost 3-1 away at Ashton United, despite David Robinson equalising for them midway through the first half. In the Northern League today, some huge scorelines, including a 7-0 win for Borough Rangers away at Sunderland RCA, a 5-0 win for Shildon away at Towlaw Town, and an 8-0 win at home for North Shields over Northallerton Town. In the second division as well, in fact, a couple more first division scores. So Whitley Bay drew 1-1 away at Redcar Athletic. At Crooktown were 1-0 winners over Penrith, and Seaham lost 2-0 at Carlisle City. In the second division, Chesley Street United 5-0 winners over Sunderland West End. Jarrow 2-1 winners over Blythe Town. Bolden winning 3-1 away at Newcastle University. Prudhoe winning by the same scoreline away at Redcar. Yarmouth Eaglescliff 5-2 winners over Washington. And Ryton and Crockrook Albion beat Billingham Town 3-1. There is one more in that list as well, isn't there? Chesley Street Town. These are the ones that involve our teams. Chesley Street Town and Newcastle Blue Star played out a 2-2 draw. We have had 3 commentaries this afternoon. The first one had Sunderland winning 5-0 at home to Southampton. The second one had South Shields winning 4-0 at home to Banbury United. Newcastle United couldn't complete the treble, though. They were beaten 3-1 at Brighton.
It's played through for Mitoma, and Pope with a save with his foot, and now out to Gilmore, who drives it. Pope spills, and it's in from Ferguson, and Newcastle with an initial mistake that they never quite recovered from, and Pope involved with a clearance and then a couple of saves, but Ferguson there onto the rebound. And after 27 minutes, Brighton and Hove Albion lead by a goal to 0. That's a slip from Gilmore, but he got fortunate and was able to play it forwards. And then the shot into the bottom corner. It's Evan Ferguson again. Gilmore slipped, but managed to get there just before a Newcastle player to prod it forwards. And Evan Ferguson, from distance, has doubled the lead. 25 minutes to play. Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Newcastle United 0. Mitoma holds off Gordon. Ferguson on the 18-yard line. Ferguson deflected, and he'll claim the hat-trick goal as Brighton extend their lead, and they are probably out of sight now. 20 minutes to play. Ferguson with all 3. Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Newcastle United 0. Wilson makes a run-off dunk and will get there into the penalty area. On his chest, gets around his man Callum Wilson with a superbly taken goal. That is top quality. from Newcastle's top marksman, and it is 1 back in added on time. Wilson with his first of the season on from the bench in the second half. 92 minutes played. Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Newcastle United 1.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.